Let's leave for our children a blue sky shining bright. Let's leave for our children a meadow lush with light. May love's great compassion comfort all the weary souls. May love's great compassion make the world a brighter place. May this great compassion make us dream a pure great love, flowing round the planet, changing hearts forevermore. Let's leave for our children a planet clean and pure. Let's leave for our children a river crystal clear. Let's leave for our children a blue sky shining bright. Let's leave for our children a meadow lush with light. May love's great compassion comfort all the weary souls. May love's great compassion make the world a brighter place. May this great compassion make us dream a pure great love, flowing round the planet, changing hearts forevermore. Let's leave for our children a planet clean and pure.
I know it's a small change, but coming from the heart, every little bit becomes a lot. Helping and giving for nothing in return. I want to do my part and take my turn. For every kindness we show, love will come back tenfold. That's when I started to know. That's where my heart began to grow. It's just a tiny flame, but 1,000 light up the darkest night. I'm adding one more candle to the light. I know it's a small change, but coming from the heart, every little bit becomes a lot. Helping and giving for nothing in return. I want to do my part and take my turn. For every kindness we show, love will come back tenfold. That's when I started to know. That's where my heart began to grow. It's just a tiny flame, but 1,000 light up the darkest night. I'm adding one more candle to the light. show. Love will come back tenfold. That's when I started to know. That's where my heart began to grow. It's just a tiny flame, but 1,000 light up the darkest night. I'm adding one more candle to the light. That's when I started to know. That's where my heart began to grow. It's just a tiny flame, but 1,000 light up the darkest night. I'm adding one more candle to the light. I'm adding one more candle to the light. I'm adding one more candle to the light.
When you reach out your hands to help those who are in need, your life will surely change because you have opened your heart. Our hearts feel grateful. The world is filled with warmth. The world changes just as we do. Forming a circle of love. When you reach out your hands, 'cause you need a helping hand. Perhaps you'll meet again a hand you once held before. When you reach out your hands to help those who are in need, your life will surely change because you have opened your heart. Our hearts feel grateful. The world is filled with warmth. The world changes just as we do, forming a circle of love. When you reach out your hands, 'cause you need a helping hand. Perhaps you'll meet again a hand you once held before. Our hearts feel grateful. The world is filled with warmth. The world changes just as we do, forming a circle of love. When you reach out your hands, 'cause you need a helping hand. Perhaps you'll meet again a hand you once held before.
for giving me such a warm embrace, staying by my side when I feel sad. Now my heart's full of love, I won't bend in the wind. Lend my shoulder for people to cry on.
Sincerely, I give you an understanding smile, staying by your side and your worries. Just when you raise your head and your tears flow no more, oh, how it moves my heart. I know there's love in this world that's worth waiting for. Shielded hearts will open up eventually. Wounds will heal when we forgive. Doubts will vanish when we care. Trust is the most moving love.
Thank you for giving me such a warm embrace, staying by my side when I feel sad. Now my heart's full of love, I won't bend in the wind. Lend my shoulder for people to cry on.
Sincerely, I give you an understanding smile, staying by your side and your worries. Just when you raise your head and your tears flow no more, oh, how it moves my heart. I know there's love in this world that's worth waiting for. Shielded hearts will open up eventually. Wounds will heal when we forgive. Doubts will vanish when we care. Trust is the most moving love. I know there's love in this world that's worth waiting for. Shielded hearts will open up eventually. Wounds will heal when we forgive. Doubts will vanish when we care. Trust is the most moving love.
It all began on Jane Goodall's front porch in Tanzania, when a group of students told her that they felt powerless, thinking about the problems around them. She encouraged them to use their voices and ideas to address the issues they saw head-on. Roots and Shoots was born. Now, Roots and Shoots is a worldwide movement of thousands of passionate young people, making big impact, and it's growing. Whether it's natural disasters, homelessness, pollution, or even climate change, Roots and Shoots youth are taking on challenges and creating real positive change across the globe. Youth aren't just our future, they are our present, and they're changing the world today.
6 years old this year. Currently, I'm doing an internship with ERE Consulting Group as part of the Erasmus program. Okay, so in ERE right now, I've been assigned to Biodiversity Department. We get projects and anything that is related to ecology, biodiversity, environment, we will handle those. But I also get glimpses or opportunities to go into field, and those are the moments that I cherish the most. So I conducted a bird survey to find out the diversity of the bird species in a certain study site. You get to meet people. You get to shape your skill sets. And I feel like that's one of the best decisions I've made, actually.
One of the most exciting events for our Girl Guides, the inaugural Suara Bumi graduation ceremony.
Huge thank you, of course, goes to the heart and soul of the program, which is Persatuan Pandu Putri Malaysia, Humanitarian. Without you, of course, there's no program.
Congratulations to all those involved. It's not easy to become ambassadors of Perak biodiversity. You have done your best despite facing many challenges.
This initiative is truly a testament to the collective dedication towards empowering the next generation of environmental leaders and fostering their future contributions to conservation.
Suara Bumi. I love this program because it's about girls. Girls' voices are very, very important. And in your private roles, and now your public role, you are starting to become ambassadors for Perak.
My name is Kai Pin, but usually I just introduce myself as Kai. I'm 20 this year and I just finished my STPM, awaiting to enter university. This is my third NGO that I am volunteering, and this is GCS, Gibbon Conservation Society. So basically what they do is that they take in rescued and surrendered gibbons from captivity, and they rehabilitate the gibbons according to IUCN guidelines so that they may return to the wild. I think that RASMA is a very good place to start because you'll meet a lot of passionate people and they'll tell you all about their job, all their story, all their experiences. And so maybe one day they might inspire you to do the same.
In 1960, a young British woman ventured into the forests of Africa to follow her childhood dream, to find a way to watch free wild animals living their own undisturbed lives. She left everything familiar behind and ended up giving the world a remarkable window into our closest living relatives. She was me. I wanted to come as close to understanding animals as I possibly could. We are continuing our research at Gombe. It's the longest running study of any non-human animal, and we're using some exciting new technology to learn more about chimpanzee ranging patterns and the state of the forest. And this helps to inform decision makers on action to be taken to protect chimpanzees, their habitats, and the other creatures that live there. I flew in a small plane over Gombe National Park, and I was absolutely horrified at what I saw. So quickly, it seemed, the environment outside the national park had been utterly destroyed. The trees had gone. The land was over-farmed and infertile. They were struggling to survive. And that's when I realized that unless we helped the people to improve their lives, there was no way we could even try to save the precious chimpanzees. This was when we started Take Care, or Tukari, our community-centered conservation project. Everywhere I went, I met young people who seemed to have lost hope. They all said more or less the same thing. We feel like this because we think you've compromised our future. And so that led into our program for youth, Roots and Shoots. The main message of Roots and Shoots is that every one of us makes a difference every single day. The program has now become a movement that's in 100 countries around the world. One of the things that the Jane Goodall Institute does that I feel is really most important is to try and give people hope, to help people understand that every single day we live, we can make a difference. And together, with everybody making a difference, we can change the world.
You're all from Perak, so you all love Perak. So you should be speaking on behalf of Perak.
Saya tak mahu cakap pasal Malaysia. Saya nak cakap pasal bumi. Kalau bumi ni tak ada, kita dah ada bumi ni kan? Betul tak?
Perak is a state here in Malaysia that is known for its unique cultural,
ada orang tebang pokok. Kalau tebang pokok, kita tak ikut negara, kita tak sejuk. So kita panas sekarang.
Diorang buat apa? Diorang datang, diorang tembak haiwan tu, lepas tu diorang ambil kulit tu, diorang buat tag. So itulah dua isu global bagi saya sangat berat.
Sebab ada salah satunya, ada yang buru-buru engkau untuk menjual untuk mendapatkan keuntungan.
Wah, ibu tembak. Tengok kat dalam, ambil juga. Apa lagi? Ambil lah. Ambil sebab orang suka. Jadi kita sakit semua. Semua orang nak beli.
My name is Nakib. I'm from Issues and Roots. I'm the head of Grisket of the company. So our vision is for Issues and Roots is about to bring back the connection with the urban people to the nature. So what we do in garden here mainly is for our climate change. What we use for fertilizer here is mainly organic fertilizer. We have kitchen here where the food waste goes back to compost also. And then we have a rainwater harvesting so that we can reduce some of the water consumption. All the plants that we use here should go back to kitchen farm to table, so no waste. So Rasma volunteers, they come here to learn other things about nature, and then they are really keen to learn it, and then they do a lot of work. So it's quite surprisingly that people in that age want to have more on other experiences outdoor. The task mainly is garden work. You have the architecture, you have the engineer, you have the people who wants to do research on plants. What they have contributed to us is like they have a lot of ideas, so it's like okay, we let them explore. We also learn a lot from them, where we get to know what is their generation looks like, what is their purpose, what is their style of thinking. As long that we open our heart for their opinions, of their ideas, I'm sure we can work together with new generations.
So my name is Sarah Aloysius. I'm 20 and I'm currently a student at the University of Nottingham. So my favorite experience in Rasma so far was definitely planting the melon seedlings, like as you can see behind me, into the cocoa peat. So essentially, Abundant Ventures is a social organization which puts food security at its focus. So for instance, we're planting rock melons here so that we can sell them, then raise money for disadvantaged groups. You immediately discover that you're part of a team. It allows you to develop teamwork, meet people who are just as interested in the environment as you. It's really knowing that every little thing you do as a team and individually makes a difference to the organizations and the people who need it.
This entire 2 days in the bootcamp was just amazing. I have learned so much that I've usually learned before in just 2 days. I met so much amazing people and they have helped me through this entire camp to help me talk confidently and also teach me about so much different species in park, and I've learned so much species now. Before this bootcamp, I really didn't care about like something that has to do with nature or biodiversity, but after coming to this camp, hearing what the masters have to tell for themselves, I've learned so much and my mindset really changed, and I really have the interest right now to learn more about the species. This is way better than I imagined, like a million times way better. The surroundings are amazing, the people here are really kind, the community is just amazing, because they really help us and they really understand us. And this is the first group of people other than my parents that really understands me. and understands everyone, all the students around me. So I'm really happy that we got them for these 3 days. Oh, of course, yes, I would recommend as soon as I got done from the camp, I would run to my parents and then recommend for maybe next time bringing Sada again, and my sisters and brother, my cousins, maybe my entire family have the experience, because I think some of them may not know about this as much as you guys do, but I really want them to have the experience, and also want my friends, my teachers, maybe the entire Malaysia want to have this experience. So I really just recommend this. Come here.
Hello everyone, I'm Joashni and I'm from Johor. Currently I'm doing my volunteering under Roots and Shoots at Gibbon Conservation Society. The purpose of me joining RASMA is to involve in wildlife conservation and know about the husbandry and management here. So we have to come up with different ideas every day for the gibbons, so that we stimulate them to function mentally and physically, so they don't think in a certain way. By volunteering in the conservation of society, we can educate the others about the importance of conservation, and it's really interesting to volunteer under RASMA, and looking forward to join in many other organizations for the coming years. Thank you.
Just remember, every single one of us makes an impact on the planet every single day. And we are in the position of being able to choose what sort of impact we make.
This is our role, is to tell them, to make them understand why are these animals important, why is the environment, the ecosystem important.
Come, discover the biodiversity of one Kalian. Suddenly got one guy walking past by. There's nothing there. It's hurt, when you try to reach out people and they say nothing there. But that is the level of awareness of local community to know what is inside around their area.
If you just add objectives to the paintings and maybe with a little bit of information that you think people need to know or people need to know, then these paintings can then create more values by raising awareness and instilling positive seeds in people's hearts and minds.
Once you have hope, then you roll up your sleeves and take action. My greatest reason for hope is all of you, no question. And have a wonderful time. Learn a lot, go back to wherever you came from, inspired with renewed determination to make this a better world.
reach a broader audience by using social media. We can have the multilingual
and installation together, maybe a huge frog or a deer, which is extending the animals discussed in the keynote speech this year.
Why they are doing it? Because they feel like they can contribute a little part of it in the works that we do, and from that actually they want to continue.
Our plan so far is we're going to start on the little things like sewing skills. We're going to have workshops. So in the future, like in the upcoming terms, we're expanding fashion forward to Taiwan.
As you know that in Taiwan there are a lot of second-handed, and maybe a lot of people have perspective that second-handed is just the trash. But for us, it may be a treasure for others.
I am not actually expecting that this very nice activity would actually turn me into a very ambitious vision to actually establish or create the Root and Shoot Philippines.
Together we can, together we will, together we must.
My name is Ashrita. I am 20 years old. My name is Teresa. I'm 21. I think volunteering is a really important way to give back to the community. And people out there are trying to put in effort, like why not we contribute something from our side to make it a better place, start from our own selves. Every day when I come to FTS, be it Bangsa Nursery, Pulai Trade or the Taman Tugu, there's always people coming in. We are getting more aware of what's happening around them. If you start to rewild either your garden at home, it does help with attracting other wildlife, taking in carbon dioxide, and also meet great awesome people. You can have the best time of your life, and you'll make loads of new friends.
1966, Master Zheng Yan founded Tzu Chi Foundation in Hualien, Taiwan. Tzu Chi's charity footprints have spread from Taiwan to 5 continents, reaching 133 countries. Over 320 Tzu Chi chapters and sub-chapters have been established in 67 countries. To date, there are over 30 Tzu Chi contact points across all 13 states in Malaysia. Tzu Chi volunteers regard the care recipients as people to be grateful of for showing them poverty, illness, and disabilities, while reminding them that life is full of impermanence, and hence they should be content and appreciative. As we give, we must be grateful.
3月8日凌晨2点40分，由马来西亚经过飞往中国首都北京的航班 MS-340入境。
Together
Thank you, a big thank you to Tzu Chi Foundation.
Sedih lah sebab dia orang kongsi lah perasaan kan.
I'm a shortage of manpower.
It will ease their workload within the ward.
The response that was given by Tzu Chi was amazing, amazing.
Keadaan ni memang betul-betul susah, kerja pun tak ada tetap.
Mau dapat 51 hari pun susah.
你跟我们讲，这些东西是全部给我了吗？这个东西是足够我们2个月的生活。
Terima kasih Tzu Chi ni banyak menolong. Tak kira bangsa, agama.
Someone helping me, I feel relief.
In 1996, Tzu Chi International Medical Association, or TIMA, a medical support organization, was established, providing free clinic, medical outreach, and home visits, respecting lives and backing up where medical resources is lacking. Whenever disaster strikes, the medical team will join the relief team to carry out medical relief work. In 2004, UNHCR entrusted Tzu Chi with a mission by making Tzu Chi a partner in running a preschool education center and a medical outreach for refugees.
Pasal apa kita orang miskin?
In 2002, Tzu Chi successfully established Tzu Chi Free Clinic in Malacca, Klang and Kuala Lumpur to provide free medical services to low-income group and refugees. Upholding the ideal of giving without expectations, Tzu Chi strives to establish a comprehensive education system to produce caring and loving future talents for society and humanity. In 2017, work started to build the Tzu Chi International School, a non-profit institution providing comprehensive education for kindergarten to pre-university levels. In Malaysia, recycling was initiated in 1995, with years of active promotion and efforts by volunteers. There are now 36 Tzu Chi recycling cum education centers, 151 recycling centers, and 794 recycling points nationwide, with over 20,000 active volunteer engagements in this activity. In December 2003, Tzu Chi officially registered as an NGO with the United Nations. With the spirit of respecting life, Tzu Chi has developed into a full-fledged humanitarian organization with global views, irrespective of political stand, race, religion, and geographical location. Tzu Chi volunteers in Malaysia, went to Southeast Asia, Europe, and other countries for international disaster relief and medical support, paying their own expenses to deliver medical aid.
Jing, 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 Jing,
A very good evening to our Honorable Dharma Masters, Your Excellencies, representatives, and honored guests. Thank you very much and welcome for the event on Reasons for Hope. Kindly set your handphones to silent mode throughout the night. Your cooperation is deeply appreciated. We are very privileged to have Dr. Jane Goodall share her experience with us today. This event is organized by Tzu Chi Foundation and Roots and Shoots Malaysia. Roots and Shoots Malaysia is a youth-led action program founded in 1991 by the Jane Goodall Institution. They empower young people to create positive change for people, animals, and the environment by providing tools needed to initiate and lead projects and campaigns in order to make a difference. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the talk, so we encourage all of you to scan a QR code so that you are able to submit your questions throughout the session. The question submissions are open until 8:30 p.m. All right, so you may take out your phones, scan the QR code, and submit your questions throughout the night until 8:30 p.m. We are now in the Jing Hall. Jing means quiet, mindful contemplation. The Jing Hall plays a central role to the work of Tzu Chi Foundation. It serves as a sanctuary for spiritual cultivation and also functions as a community space for Tzu Chi's engagement with the community. But what does Tzu Chi do? We have invited a volunteer who has joined Tzu Chi Foundation since 2015 to share more about Tzu Chi. Not only is she an active volunteer with Tzu Chi Foundation, she is also holding various corporate leadership roles. She's the director of Top Glove Foundation and St. Viral Syndrome Berhad. She is also the independent non-executive director at Sunway Reed. She'll be sharing with us on the topic of Tzu Chi's sustainability practices, on keeping sentient beings and Mother Earth in mind. Please join me and welcome Sister Yoroka Ping on stage.
Thank you, Sister Jali, for the introduction. Good evening, Honorable Dharma Masters, Your Excellencies, representatives, honored guests, Jian Sijie, and Tzu Chi brothers and sisters. Like every one of you, me too am eagerly awaiting to listen to Dr. Jing sharing about her life experience, her many exciting and inspiring stories and encounters, but most of all, her wisdom. But before that, I would like to seek your indulgence to give me 30 minutes of your time to share about Tzu Chi's way to sustainability by keeping sentient beings and Mother Earth in mind, and also how each and every one of us here can actually incorporate ESG best practice into our daily life. I will start by first sharing about Tzu Chi's missions so that you will get a better insight and understanding to our ESG best practice. Taiwan Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation was founded by Dharma Master Zheng Yan in Hualien, Taiwan back in 1966. Master Zheng Yan's vision for Tzu Chi Foundation is to purify minds, bring harmony to society, and rid the world from disasters. It's a very, very tall order, but one nonetheless Dharma Master Zheng Yan has steadfastly put into actions through Tzu Chi 4 core missions over the last 58 years. Charity is Tzu Chi's first core mission, and the charity philosophy here is premised on teaching the rich to help the poor and helping the poor to realize the riches within. In 1991, international disaster relief was added to our charity mission. And I believe many of you here might have seen pictures and videos of Tzu Chi volunteers in many disaster sites, crossing borders, transcending race and religion. Our motto here is to be the first to arrive and the last to leave. Medicine is Tzu Chi's second mission. Here, Tzu Chi strives to infuse science with humanity, curing illnesses, healing people and mind. We have total 8 hospitals owned and operated by Tzu Chi, 7 in various parts of Taiwan and 1 in Indonesia. Here in the Klang Valley, we operate 2 free clinics, attending to an average of 150 patients a day. In 1993, Tzu Chi started a bone marrow registry, and I believe we are the world's second largest registry, with over 400,000 potential donors registered with us. And so far, we have found 4,000 matches in 29 countries. Education is our third core mission. Often, this is referred as Project Hope. Undeniably, children are the hope of society. And what gives hope to children? It is education. Academic excellence aside, Tzu Chi's education mission focuses on character building. We have built 258 schools, 56 schools in 18 countries. And here we operate 11 kindergartens and 1 international school in Bukit Jalil. In 1992, Master Zheng Yan advised her disciples, followers, and volunteers to start practicing recycling alongside the promotion of vegetarianism to protect Mother Earth. Humanistic culture is our 4th core missions. Here, our objective is to promote wholesome values in society and to cultivate bonding and connectedness. These are the 4 core missions, which are the pathway to Master Zheng Yan's vision to transform life and transform society for a harmonious world. This is Tzu Chi's global footprint. We have offices in 68 countries, supported by over 10 million donors, volunteers, members, aiding people in 136 countries. We are in the northern and the southern hemisphere, from the east to the west. So often people say the Tzu Chi world never sleeps. Tzu Chi has been a consultative member of the United Nations Economic and Social Council since 2010. Our 4 core missions and our principles are seamlessly aligned with the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which call for actions to promote prosperity while protecting Mother Earth. Going by our actions and our missions, we transcend nationality, religion, sector, and institution. We promote grassroots empowerment. We practice great love to leave no one behind. We practice environmental protection through 5R, which is refuse, reduce, reuse, repair, and recycling. And we adhere to strict governance. In terms of size and scale of operations, it's easier to explain through the number sense. This is a glimpse of the financials for Buddhist Tzu Chi Charity Foundation Taiwan for the year ended 2023. They reported operating income in excess of US $300 million, of which 83% came from donations. The significance of this number is that it tells the story that there are many people in the world who has loving kindness, compassion, and are readily and willingly donate towards helping others. And this is really what that gives us hope and strength. Whenever we walk into a disaster site, we know that we have the backing of many people. Often people ask, how does Tzu Chi raise money? And how did Tzu Chi build such a strong brand name that people trust, that they would part with their money and willing to volunteer their time and effort? I personally believe that one of the answers lies in the very high percentage of charity outlay. For year ended 2023, 85% of almost 270 million US went to charity spending, and only 5% was paid out as administrative expenses. This gives our donors very, very strong assurance that a very high percentage of their donations go into the hands of the beneficiaries. Most importantly, I believe that the strong Tzu Chi brand name is underpinned by its commitment to the 3 alphabets, which are E, S, and G. So let me start with the E. Wherever Tzu Chi goes, we promote, we inspire, and we educate the local people the need to practice recycling and uphold vegetarianism to protect Mother Earth. And over the years, Tzu Chi environmental protection effort has evolved into a circular model, turning trash into a stream of products of great love. And that is really thanks to the dedication, continuous research and innovation by Tzu Chi International Humanitarian AIDS Association, in short TIHA, and Ta'ai Circular Economy Series. In the first loop transformation, PET bottles collected by our Tzu Chi volunteers in the various recycling centers are baled, transformed or turned into flakes, chips, thread, fabrics, and finally into various finished products. Over the years, we have had many product breakthroughs. And tonight, I would like to share with you one particular one, which is the recycled bricks made by plastics from meal boxes. Our recycling volunteers will strip away plastics from meal boxes to make into interlocking bricks. Plastics from 350 meal boxes make into one brick. So it is really a labor of love. And these bricks are permeable, they are non-slip. Logistically, they are very easy to transport because they're very lightweight and they're very easy to lay. In 2015, Da'ai had a major achievement when it successfully patented the process to transform recycled fabrics back into its PET sheet form, thereby enabling the creation of R2R and R3R, which is the third loop eco products, utilizing fewer resources and less energy compared to the conventional method. And this was how Da'ai transformed from a waste reduction green brand into a zero waste green global role model. And Da'ai next goal is to solve the increasingly problematic issues related to discarded and leftover clothing. Well, seeing is believing. So up next, we would like to showcase some of our products made from recycled PET bottles. These are our Tzu Chi uniforms and from various functional groups. First, this is our blue top, white pants for the commissioners. Next is the white top and black pants for members of Tzu Chi International Medical Group, followed by light blue top and white pants for the education group. It takes 9 recycled PET bottles to make the top, 13 for the pants. This is the most loved eco blanket distributed to disaster survivors during our relief missions. It is made from 55 recycled PET bottles. The blue blanket is not for sale, but the green one can be purchased by members of the public. This is the full outfit for our disaster relief volunteers. The blue jacket is made up of 15 recycled PET bottles, 7 for the backpack, 3 for the scarf, 3 for the cap, and 2 for the sunglasses. We also have the Da'ai luggage series. Here we are showcasing the mid-size luggage, which takes 59 recycled PET bottles to make, and 42 for the carry-on bag. Here are some products from our health series. First, this is the patented Eco-Far infrared warming eye mask made of 2R PET. I love this product because it puts me to sleep immediately. Second, this is the graphene USB hot pad, ideal to soothe aching joints, neck, and tired eyes. This was originally created to aid burn survivors in the 2015 water park explosion in Taiwan. Initially made for our elderly recycled volunteers, these waistband and knee guards are well sought after items, even by the physically active. 2 recycled pads are required for each of these items. Next up is our Da'ai Casual series. These are very versatile t-shirts and bags that are also suitable to double up as sportswear because they are very, very lightweight and dry very quickly. Lastly, this is our cultural series. These are professionally designed by designers in Taiwan and China. They are very soft to the touch. You wouldn't have known that they are made from recycled PET bottles. The umbrella has an adjustable light and push button mechanism to open and close easily. Our products are designed to be elegant and practical, and they're made with a purpose to meet our needs, always keeping sentient beings and Mother Earth in mind. By giving these very short lifespan PET bottles a new lease of useful life, we could reduce plastic pollutions in our waterways as well as our landfill. Thank you, Tzu Chi brothers and sisters. Like most corporates, Tzu Chi has also announced our net zero plan in 2021, making 2023 as our baseline year. Our immediate target is for a zero growth in emission by 2025. We have two midterm targets. We aim to reduce our emissions by 15% by 2030, followed by 50% reduction in 2040, and net zero by 2050. This goal is pursued through 4 major steps. These are auditing, analyzing, reducing, and offsetting. Next, I will move to our social best practice. We recognize that we can't eradicate poverty without strategies for economic growth and addressing the many social issues, especially issues with regards to health, education, job opportunities, and social securities, while tackling climate change and environmental protection. Therefore, Tzu Chi's 4 missions focus not just on short-term relief, but taking a holistic approach in helping those in suffering, especially survivors of major disasters. So we aim to assist disaster-affected communities in their journey toward enhanced sustainability, following guidelines in areas such as food security, nutrition, water sanitization, and hygiene, education, shelter provision, settlement development, as well as distribution of non-food items and healthcare services. I know it sounds like a whole mouthful, and to many people, these are just words. But for Tzu Chi volunteers and Master Cheng Yen, these are words that we put into actions. And here, I will give you an example of a true situation. Some of you might still remember about Haiyan typhoon that decimated many parts of the Philippines back in 2013. When the first batch of Tzu Chi volunteers arrived at the disaster site, what greeted them was a city of ruins. Even the local government wanted to abandon this city of Tacloban with 250,000 population. But Master Cheng Yen, she was very wise. She came out with the idea, which we now call the Cash for Work Relief Scheme, which paid 500 pesos to participants to clean up their own homes, their streets, and their surrounding. So now let us view this video.
On November 8th, Typhoon Haiyan struck the Philippines. It was one of the deadliest typhoons ever recorded. Over 15 million people have been affected, with 6,000 people dead and nearly 1,800 still missing. On November 13th, the first team of disaster assessment and medical personnel flew to the disaster region. A few days after arrival, volunteer doctors and nurses had already provided emergency medical aid to over 1,100 survivors.
Salamat nga kami na mayroong tumutulong ba. Kasi mahirap, walang mga medisina, walang mabibili. Kahit yung Makati, may pambili man, walang mabibilhan.
Tzu Chi also began distributing hot meals, blankets, and emergency gift cards directly into the hands of tens of thousands of survivors.
Was out. Waray patay. Nagpapasalamat ako. Dako nga salamat nga nagatag nagbulig ang Buddhist Foundation.
The money they have received now, They are going to buy the GI sheets for the roofing of their houses and to start a new life.
On November 20th, Tzu Chi began a Cash for Work relief program, which pays survivors to clean up their own communities.
Tzu Chi Foundation, parang natauhan kami gumalaw at saka magtrabaho. Tacloban maraming nakaw. At least ito okay na to. Para may trabaho, may pera na. Makakapera sila, makakabili sila.
Through this program, Tzu Chi helps survivors regain a sense of purpose as they work together to rebuild.
Makakatulong pa sila sa kapwa nila at sa kapaligiran nila.
This program also injects much-needed cash into the local economy.
Pagkatapos ang bintahan, masurong na kay may naman kwartan mga tao. Ikang Tzu Chi Foundation.
Because many schools have been destroyed, Tzu Chi has set up temporary classrooms so that children can resume their education.
Malaking tulong talaga ito para sa amin at sa mga bata. Upo na ng maayos. Hindi katulad doon na sira yung namin.
Maganda yung paligid ng maganda yung bintana, tsaka yung babaw.
In total, volunteers from 11 different countries have worked over 5,200 shifts to help out in Tzu Chi's Haiyan relief effort.
This is a blessing for us that you come here. I would like to thank you so much and we love you very much.
Over a month has passed since the typhoon, but for survivors, the disaster is far from over.
Gawa na sa malanta sa bagyo namin na naranasan namin kahirapan ba tapos pagdasal ko nga hindi na babalik sa amin yun.
Tzu Chi is committed to staying in the Philippines long term, building schools and houses and continuing to support the community.
What you just saw is the culmination of loving kindness, supreme compassion, wisdom, steadfastness, and the spirit of collaboration. Because of this Cash for Work scheme, the city of Tacloban was cleaned up in just 19 days. You saw the pile of ruins. And the cash paid out to the locals helped kickstart the economy, gave them strength and hope to restart their life. And also, because they work for the money, it helps to uphold the human pride. This is a summary of the assistance provided to the Haiyan victims. Apart from the US $3.2 million paid out as Cash for Work scheme, another 12 million was paid out to over 44,000 households. 5,000 prefabricated classrooms were built so that the children can get back to school very quickly. And over the period, 3,000 homes were built in various cities in the Philippines. The same Cash for Work scheme was used here in Malaysia during the East Coast flood in December 2024 and early 2015. Let's view this video.
Following the floods, many people here in Kuala Krau have been rendered homeless and helpless. Residents waterlogged and muddy furniture and belongings have been discarded alongside the road. As the flooding has left behind a thick layer of mud, volunteers quickly launched a Cash for Work program to help residents clean up their homes. In Pahang State, more than 1,300 people signed up for the Cash for Work program in 7 locations across 2 cities on the first day alone. They were joined by some 2,000 volunteers from Kuala Lumpur, Kuantan and Malacca.
We have between 3,000 to 4,000 people joining the recovery efforts in 7 locations. It was very challenging, especially overseeing the overall coordination and delegation of tasks. Plus, 2 of the locations were about an hour's drive apart.
Knowing that help has arrived and that they are no longer alone, tears well up in the eyes of residents.
So many people came to share our burden. For those that came to help us, I want to thank all of you.
All of Tzu Chi's missions and activities are fully funded by public donations. That brings me to the governance best practice. From the first day of incorporating Tzu Chi Foundation, Master Cheng Yen and her disciples make sure that the abbot is financially independent of Tzu Chi Foundation. They are fully self-sustained. They uphold the spirit that a day without work is a day without food, and strongly adhere to the principle that what is from the public is for the public, even if it is a fistful of rice. And specific fundraise is for specific use. So take, for example, the Malaysia Solidarity Fund for COVID-19, which we launched in 2021 with the support of 19 interfaith groups. 100% of the funds raised were for COVID and COVID-related assistance with no administrative charges. And one important point to note is that Tzu Chi volunteers are not paid. We pay for all our own out-of-pocket expenses, whether we go for disaster relief work far or near. We pay for our own transport, our own flight tickets, our lodging, and we make our own arrangement. And many Tzu Chi volunteers have to take unpaid leave. So 100% of the donation goes to charity work. And this explains why Tzu Chi has such a high social return on investments, in short, SROI. For example, for every dollar invested in Jing Hall, $8.50 is generated in charitable benefits. For every dollar invested in recycling effort, it generates $6.40 in social benefits. And for recycling devices, we derive $81.18 in benefits. So this is how we increase the economic values to our beneficiaries. And this is really, truly the power of people coming together, volunteering their time, their effort, giving their money without expectations in return. Loving kindness, compassion is our intrinsic nature. When our heart connects with the mind, we could turn missions impossible into missions possible, as you have seen in the case of Tacloban. So we sincerely hope that many more people will come forward to volunteer, because the world we live in today is saddled with too many disasters. Some are natural, but many are actually man-made. Whether you volunteer with Tzu Chi or not, go with something that aligns with your interests and your life purpose, because together we can build a more harmonious world. So with that, thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Apologies for that. Thank you very much, Sister Yo Kaping. And with this sharing, we have found out that we ourselves can bring hope to those around us as well. And now, without further ado, we are going to listen to Dr. Jane Goodall, who has created one of the most trailblazing studies in primates of modern times, through nearly 60 years of groundbreaking work in the world of wild chimpanzees. She has redefined species conservation to include the needs of local people and the environment. This is a quick reminder for everyone to also scan the QR code to submit any questions you may have before 8:30 p.m. today. There is a short video to introduce Dr. Jane Goodall. Let's watch it together.
It's been an amazing journey, this life of mine. This planet has filled me with the wonder of all living things, great and small. We cannot ignore this earth that surrounds us, that feeds us, shelters us, replenishes our bodies and our souls, and stretches our imaginations, where animals, plants, air, water, all care for us. We're all interconnected. People, animals, our environment. When nature suffers, we suffer. And when nature flourishes, we all flourish. I do believe in the possibility of a world where we can live in harmony with nature, but only if every one of us does our part to make that world a reality, so that when you look back over your journey, your life, you can truly say, I did make a difference.
And now, let us put our hands together and give us a warm welcome to Dr. Jane Goodall.
Hello, hello. Better. Yeah. So thank you for a wonderful welcome. And I'm very happy to be here with you tonight. I think that the Lord Buddha respected all life. And so I thought to bring into this space, maybe for the very first time, the voice of our closest living relative in the animal kingdom. So a special greeting for all of you from the chimpanzees of Gombe. Me, Jane. So my journey has been a long one. In a couple of months, I'll be 91 years old. So I can look back on my life and I can look back over my life and see that great changes have been made. And the journey of my life has been interesting. It's interesting to me, and it seems to be interesting to other people. But I want to start off by saying that this journey that I've taken couldn't have happened the way it has without help from so many different people. And the one I want to mention first was my amazing mother. I was born loving animals. People say, what triggered your interest in animals? I don't know. I was born loving them. And my mother supported that love, which made such a difference. When I was 4 years old, we were living in London, in UK, and not many animals there. So for a treat, my mother took me onto a farm in the country, a proper farm, not one of these industrial factory farms, but where cows and pigs were rootling around in the fields and chickens were pecking around in the farmyard. And I was given a job to help collect the hens' eggs. So I'd go around, I think there were about 4 little hen houses about this high, where the hens slept at night to keep them safe. And around the edge were little nest boxes. So I would go around, open the nest box. If there was an egg, put it in my little basket. Apparently, I began asking questions. Where is the hole on the hen big enough for the egg to come out? I couldn't see a hole like that. And nobody told me. So what I distinctly remember is a hen. She was brown, and she was going into one of these little hen houses. And I must have thought, she's going to lay an egg, so I'm going to find out for myself. And I crawl after her. Well, that was a big mistake. Hens don't want 4-year-old little girls watching them lay eggs. So she flew out with squawks of, I suppose, fear. But now I'm on the path of discovery, and I'm not going to give up. And I go into an empty hen house, realizing the first one is a place now where there's something frightening inside. And I go into an empty hen house and wait. And wait. And wait. Apparently I was gone 4 whole hours, and the family had no idea where I was. My mother was about to ring the police, and she sees this little girl all covered in straw rushing towards the house. And instead of being angry, how dare you go off without telling us, don't you dare do that again, she saw my shining eyes and sat down to hear the wonderful story of how a hen lays an egg. And I tell that story because there you see the making of a little scientist, the curiosity, asking questions, not getting the right answer, deciding to find out for yourself, making a mistake, not giving up, and learning patience. It was all there, and a different kind of mother might have crushed that early scientific curiosity, and I might not be here tonight. So a big thank you to my mother. And as an aside, it's fascinating to see, we've now been studying the chimpanzees at Gombe for 64 years. So we now know that the offspring of supportive mothers, and the mothers are very different, but the offspring of those that support them, if they get in a fight, the mother will run to rescue them, even if she gets beaten up herself. The males get a higher position in the male hierarchy, and the females are better mothers. So it works for them, and it works for us. Anyway, she helped me find books about animals when I was growing up. When I was growing up, young people today can't imagine the world I grew up in, with no television, no internet, none of those things. I learned from books and from being out in nature. Well, when I was 10 years old, I saved up my pocket money. We had very little money. World War II was raging. But I used to go on Saturday afternoon to a little second-hand bookshop, and the little old man didn't mind me crawling around. And on this particular day, I had just enough money for a very cheap edition that I found of a book called Tarzan of the Apes. No TV back then, no films. But I took it home, I read it, and of course, you know, little girls of 10 are very romantic, and I fell passionately in love with this glorious lord of the jungle. And what did he do? He married the wrong Jane. Right? At any rate, I knew there wasn't a Tarzan, but that was when my dream began. I will grow up, go to Africa, live with wild animals, and write books about them. Everybody laughed. How will you do that? You don't have money, which was true. Africa, we didn't know much about it back then. That's 80 years ago. It was known as the Dark Continent, filled with fierce wild animals. And anyway, I was just a girl, but not my mother. What she said to me, I say to young people around the world, particularly in disadvantaged communities. If you really want to do something like this, she said to me, you're going to have to work really hard, take advantage of every opportunity, and then if you don't give up, hopefully you find a way. So, as most of you know, I did find a way. I left school, no money for university, although I did super well at school, actually. And so I had to get a job. We had just enough money for a secretarial course, boring, but my mother had again taught me, if you're going to do something, whether you want it or not, if you're going to do it, give it everything you've got. So I became a good secretary. And then came the opportunity, a letter from a school friend inviting me to Kenya, where her parents had just bought a farm. And yes, opportunity, but my job was in London and I couldn't save money there. So I went home. We lived, and I still live, on the south coast of England. And I got a job around the corner as a waitress in a hotel. Very hard work, but after, 4 or 5 months, I'd saved up enough money for the trip to Kenya. There were aeroplanes back then, but there were few and far between and very expensive. No way could I afford that. So the normal way to travel was by boat. So it was a nearly 1 month journey. The Suez Canal was closed because of a war between Britain and Egypt, so we had to go all the way around the Cape. And the first place I set foot on African soil, oh my goodness, it was so exciting. It was Cape Town, and the natives were there dressed in their national costume. I didn't realize this was for tourists. I was just excited. The ship was there for 2 days while it renewed its supplies. And there were 2 people there who knew my mother, and they had written and said, "Don't worry about Jane, we'll look after her." So they took me around, and as I say, I was really excited. And then I began to notice on the backs of the benches in the parks, on the doors into the restaurants and the hotels, 2 words in Afrikaans. And I said, what do these words mean? White people only. I wasn't brought up that way. My grandfather was a congregational minister, and we were brought up to judge people by who they were, not by the color of their skin, their culture, their language, or even their religion, but who they were as human beings. So I was glad to leave Cape Town. Got to stay with my friend in Kenya, and I was been there about, 3 weeks, and somebody said to me, "Jane, if you're interested in animals, you should meet Dr. Louis Leakey, famous paleontologist, anthropologist." So I went to see him. He was head of the Natural History Museum, and how amazing. I talked about that boring secretarial course. Just before I met Leakey, his secretary had suddenly left. He needed a secretary, and there I was. Now I'm surrounded by people who can answer all my questions about, the animals and the plants of East Africa. So I was in heaven. And during that time, he took a little expedition onto the Serengeti Plains, Olduvai Gorge, where he was searching for the fossilized remains of early humans. And one evening, I was out walking on the plains, which I was allowed to do every evening, and I encountered a young male lion, fully grown, hair sprouting on his shoulders. And according to Leakey, when I told him this around the campfire that evening, I'd done just the right thing. So that's when he asked me if I was prepared to go and live with and learn from not just any animal, but the one closest to us. Chimpanzees and humans share 98.6% of DNA. Well, it took a while, but finally Leakey got money, even though I hadn't been to university. We got permission from what was then the British administration, and I was off on my dream. Well, for 4 whole months, the chimpanzees vanished into the forest the moment they saw me. And I was beginning to get desperate because I only had money for 6 months. I knew that if I had time, I could get the trust of the chimpanzees. But did I have time? It was amazing that with just 2 months left, one chimpanzee began to lose his fear. He had lovely white hair on his chin, and I named him David Greybeard. And on this amazing day, I saw him sitting on a termite mound. That's a nest of white ants. And he was breaking off grass stems and pushing them down into burrows in the nest and picking off the termites clinging on with their jaws. And he was even breaking off leafy twigs, and to make them into a tool, he had to strip the leaves carefully. He was using and making tools, which today wouldn't surprise anybody, because we now know many animals can use tools and some can make tools. But back then, Western science had decided only humans used and made tools. They had described us, in fact, as man the tool maker. And so this observation of the chimpanzees was very, very exciting. And it was because of that that the National Geographic stepped in and said, we will fund Jane so she can carry on the research. So with that assurance, I could relax. And thanks to David Greybeard, I began to know the other chimpanzees because he was so calm. I think the others thought, well, she can't be so frightening after all. And so I got to know his best friend, the top-ranking male, Goliath, and Humphrey and Mr. Wurzel and all the rest, and old Flo and her family, and Passion. You know, I got to know them as the unique individuals they are, as different from one another as we are. And so I'd been with them about 1.5 years, and I get a letter from Leakey saying, Jane, I chose you to do this study because you had not been to university, so your mind wasn't contaminated by the reductionist thinking of scientists at that time. Now, I want scientists to take you seriously. Sorry, you have to get a degree. There's no time for an undergraduate degree. I've got you a position in Cambridge University to do a PhD in animal behavior. Well, as you can imagine, I was really nervous. And imagine how I felt when these learned professors told me I'd done everything wrong. Jane, you shouldn't have named chimpanzees. They're your study animals. And your study animals. And so you should number them. That's scientific. And you can't talk about them having personalities, minds, or emotions, because those are unique to humans. And moreover, you can't have empathy with them, because to be a good scientist, you've got to be objective, and you can't be objective if you have empathy. Well, fortunately, as a child, I had a wonderful teacher, and he had taught me absolutely what these professors were saying was rubbish. It was wrong. I knew it was. But I didn't confront the professors. I just went on writing about the chimpanzees for my dissertation, the way they are. And then the Geographic had sent a filmmaker, and his film began going around. And so science gradually, perhaps reluctantly, but accepted that chimpanzees do have personalities, minds, and emotions. And we know today that many other animals, in fact, going right down to octopuses and many insects, do also have, well, some of them have personalities. All of them have some kind of intelligence. All of them are sentient, feeling fear, pain, having emotions of that sort. And that's why I bring these family members with me. Rats, you probably don't like rats much, but they're very intelligent. They make good pets. This is representing the giant forest rat of Africa. And they have been trained to detect the scent of the explosive in unexploded landmines buried under the ground after the long African civil wars. They have helped to clear Mozambique of landmines, and they're now working in Angola, Cambodia, and other places after these long wars. And they also have learned to go under the rubble after an earthquake or a bomb, and if they find a living person, they ring a little bell around their neck, and people can go and rescue that victim. So highly intelligent, Piglet. If you don't believe me about the intelligence of pigs, then Google not Picasso the artist, but Pigcasso. And you will see a pig, and she's not different from other pigs. It's just that she's had a chance to show what pigs can do. She loves to paint. Her paintings are selling for $5,000. Her biggest painting sold for $25,000. And the great thing is, if you watch this, how she loves to paint. As soon as she sees the easel, she rushes up, brush is put in her mouth, she dips it into different colors. It's just wonderful. And I could tell so many more stories. Maybe some of you have seen my octopus teacher showing the amazing intelligence of an octopus. So to go back, I got my PhD. I went back to Gombe National Park, where I began the study, and where, by the way, we're still studying the same groups of chimps 64 years later. It's the second longest study of wild animals in the world, and we're not stopping, and still learning new things about them, by the way. Anyway, I went back, built up a tiny research station. Gombe's a very small national park, and they were the very best days of my life. I was out in the rainforest. Yes, I was often with the chimpanzees, learning more about them, but I was in the rainforest. I was learning about the amazing ecosystem where every plant and animal has a role to play, where they're all interconnected. And I got this really strong spiritual connection with the natural world. And I could have stayed there forever. I thought I would. But then in the mid-1980s, I realized that across Africa, forests were being destroyed and chimpanzee numbers were dropping. And so I knew that I had to do something to try to help, but I didn't know what to do. I got some money. By then, there were 6 other study groups, 6 other scientists studying chimps in different parts of their range. And I got some money and visited those places to learn more about the problems faced by the chimps, like the bushmeat trade, shooting mothers to steal their babies to sell them for pets or for entertainment, or in those days, medical research. And so at the same time as I was learning about the problems faced by the chimps, I was learning about the plight of so many people living in and around chimpanzee habitat. So it all came to a head when I flew over the tiny Gombe National Park. When I arrived in 1960, the Gombe was part of a great forest, equatorial forest belt that stretched from western East Africa, it's kind of like the middle of Africa, right across to the west coast. By the mid-1980s, I looked from a small plane in horror to see Gombe was a little island of forest, and all around were bare hills. More people living there than the land could support, too poor to buy food elsewhere. Why were they destroying their forest? Because they were struggling to survive. They were either cutting down the trees to make some money from charcoal or timber, or to clear more land to grow more food for their growing families. And that's when it hit me. If we don't help these people find ways of making a living without destroying their environment, we can't save forests, chimpanzees, or anything else. And so the Jane Goodall Institute began a program known as Takari, and it started not with a group of arrogant white people going into the 12 villages around Gombe, very poor villages, most of the people not even speaking English, but 7 local Africans were picked to go into the villages, sit down with the people, and ask them, what can JGI do to help you? And they wanted more food, which meant restoring fertility to the land without chemicals, by the way. And they wanted better health and education, especially for their children. And we worked on that with local Tanzanian authorities. As they came to trust us, we could introduce water management programs. We got as many scholarships as we could to give girls a chance of secondary education, because back then they had no chance at all in the villages. And best of all, I think, we introduced microfinance, as in the Grameen Bank started by Muhammad Yunus. And that has been amazingly successful as the poor villagers choose their own environmentally sustainable small business, pay it back, and they nearly all do, and they're proud. They feel, I've succeeded, I did this myself. So that program has been so successful. It has introduced new technology like GIS, GPS, satellite imagery, so that they can make land use management plans, check on the health of their forests. It's in all 104 villages throughout Chimp territory in Tanzania, most of them outside Gombe National Park. And they monitor the health of their village forest reserves, and they're very proud of what they do. And the villagers have now realized saving the environment isn't just for wildlife, it's for their own future. And that program is now in 6 other African countries where JGI studies chimpanzees, alleviating poverty everywhere we go. And so by this time, in the early 90s, I'm already traveling the world and trying to raise awareness about the problems in Africa, trying to raise money for our programs. But more importantly, in the long run, I was learning about what we're doing to the planet. And of course, it's got much worse since then. But already, I was learning about the effect of burning fossil fuels, leading to the greenhouse gases, CO2, blanketing the globe, trapping the heat of the sun, leading to climate change, to global warming. And I was beginning to understand the effect that climate change could have, listening to the scientists who already were talking about this, although people weren't listening to them. And I was learning about the loss of biodiversity. I mean, where I grew up in the south of England, we have now lost more than 75% of the insects I knew as a child. We've lost almost half the bird species. And this is happening, as I'm sure you all know, all over the world. And then in addition to that, industrial agriculture with its use of chemical pesticides and herbicides and artificial fertilizer, it's destroying the soil. We depend on the soil, but it's being destroyed as I speak because of industrial agriculture. And then there's the industrial animal agriculture. Not only is that unbelievably cruel, I don't know what the Lord Buddha would have said about it, but he certainly wouldn't have approved. And this unbelievable cruelty, now that we know these animals are sentient and sapient, intelligent pigs, cows who would, if they could, form long-term bonds with their calves, and so on and so on. And not only that, but these billions of animals that are farmed worldwide in these horrifying conditions, huge areas of land are cleared to grow grain to feed them. A lot of water is used to change vegetable to animal protein. The cattle particularly, but all of them, create methane gas during their digestion. Well, we all do, but cows particularly, because they not only, cows produce a lot of methane gas. and that's a very, very virulent greenhouse gas. And I was learning about the poverty, the importance of alleviating poverty, because poor people destroying the environment simply in order to survive. I was learning about the overconsumption, the people who have so much more than they need, and very often more than they even want, but it's just become part of life in certain societies to just take and take and take. Overconsumption, making unfair demands on finite natural resources. And then, of course, on top of that, there's discrimination, and there's conflict, and there's war. And so I talked about animals being very intelligent. Humans are way more intellectual. I mean, just think, no animal can design a rocket that goes up to Mars. No animal could create the internet, and we could go on and on like that. So I don't talk about humans being intelligent, but about us being intellectual, because if we were intelligent, we as a species would not be destroying our environment, and we are. And we're beginning to understand that we not only are part of the natural world, because we're animals too, but we depend on the natural world for food, water, clothing, everything. But what we depend on is healthy ecosystems. And if you think of this complex mix of plant and animal species making up this ecosystem, imagine every time a species disappears, you pull a thread from a complex tapestry of life. And if you pull enough threads, the tapestry hangs in tatters, the ecosystem collapses, and that is happening. So it's, you know, it's as though we're at the mouth of a long tunnel with a little star at the end that's hope. We can't just sit at the mouth of the tunnel and hope the star comes to us. We have to roll up our sleeves and crawl under, climb over, work around all these obstacles, all these problems that stand between us and that star. Not surprising, as I was traveling around the world back then, that I was meeting young people already in the mid-80s, high school students, university students, young people in their first jobs, and they were already beginning to lose hope. And when I talked to them, I said, why are you so depressed? Well, you're destroying our planet, and there's nothing we can do about it. So that's when I began in 1991, the Jane Goodall Institute's program, Roots and Shoots. It's a humanitarian environmental program for young people. And thanks to T.P. Peter and the Jane Goodall Institute team that's here, and maybe we'll get them to come on the platform later because they're doing such amazing work. But Roots and Shoots began with 12 high school students coming to see me in Dar es Salaam. And they came from 8 different high schools. And they were upset about different things. Some of them were upset about the poaching of animals in the national parks. Some of them were upset by the illegal dynamite fishing, where you throw a stick of dynamite stolen from the quarries into the sea, and the fish are stunned and float to the top of the water. Some were worried about street children with no homes, or the homeless. Some were worried about the treatment of stray dogs. And so they wanted me to fix it all. I said, well, you know, I'm afraid but I'd like to help you. Go and get your friends, and we'll have a meeting. So about 30 young people came, and Roots and Shoots was born. Main message, every single one of us makes an impact on the planet every single day. And we can choose what sort of impact we make. Secondly, because everything is so interrelated in the world, every group would choose themselves. It's not top-down, it's bottom-up. And they would choose projects to make things better for people, for animals, for the environment, or a project that encompassed all three. We have campaigns which they're free to join or not join. And so what started in that small way is now in 71 countries, as I say, including Malaysia, and it's got members from kindergarten all the way through university. It's very easy to get depressed today. I meet many people, especially after some elections, who are, yeah, well, I didn't mention a name, but so some people are getting very depressed, and I don't blame them. But if we all get depressed and become apathetic and give up, we're doomed. Because if you lose hope, then you just become apathetic, do nothing. And as I say, this means we would be doomed. We can't do that to our young people. We've got to find hope to support them. And Roots and Shoots is my #1 reason for hope. Young people, when they are understanding the problems and empowered to take action, they're changing the world. It's not that they can, they are. And they're so energetic, and they're so determined, and they're so passionate, and they choose their projects, and they roll up their sleeves, and they take action, and they are changing the world. And, you know, we're in countries which surprise people, like mainland China, right across mainland China, about 1,000 groups. We're growing in the Middle East. We're penetrating into Eastern Europe. And, of course, we're all over North America, Canada, growing in South America, and in many, many African countries. So about 10 years ago, a film was made about Roots and Shoots. It's a bit out of date now. Well, the projects aren't out of date, but there's not enough countries recognized. But I thought you'd like to see this little bit of video about the kind of things Roots and Shoots do and the enthusiasm of the children who do them. So if we could have that little video.
You are the reason we found us, so thank you, star. Some people think it's far away, some know it's with them every day. You are the reason we found out, so thank you, star. There are no words that can blow it away on the air. When they try to blow it away.
So as I say, my main reason for hope is our young people. But also there's the resilience of nature. Give nature a chance, time, maybe some help. Places that we've totally destroyed can be given another chance. It's happening here in Malaysia. It's happening all around the world. Fly over Gombe today, no more bare hills. The trees have come back. And so animals on the brink of extinction can be given another chance. That's happening around the world as well. That's one benefit that I have from this stupid 300 days a year on the road. And then the next reason for hope, this intellect, we are beginning to use it to find ways of living in greater harmony with nature, like renewable energy. And also, we're beginning to use it to think about our own environmental footprint each day. What sort of impact are we making on the world? Can we do better? And then finally, there's the indomitable human spirit, the people who tackle what seems impossible and won't give up and so often succeed. And there are icons, like Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King, and the kind of people that you can bring to mind. But there's also people struggling in an amazing way and inspiring others when they're really physically disabled. And that's why I carry Mr. H. He was given to me 33 years ago by a man called Gary Horn. And Gary Horn went blind when he was 21. And he decided to become a magician. And everybody said, but Gary, you can't be a magician if you're blind. And he said, well, I can try. If he was standing here, you wouldn't know he was blind. He does shows for children. And at the end, he tells them he's blind. And he says, well, don't give up. If something happens to you, there's always a way forward. And he does scuba diving, skydiving, and he taught himself to paint. So Mr. H, whom he gave me 33 years ago, thinking he was a chimpanzee, and I made him hold the tail. Gary, chimps don't have tails. And he said, never mind, take him where you go, and you know my spirit's with you. So he's been with me to 63 countries, and I've only been to 64. So it's not only humans who have this indomitable spirit. I could tell you so many amazing stories about people, but I want to end this with a very short little video about a chimpanzee whose mother was shot. She arrived in a sanctuary for orphans in Congo, in Africa, badly wounded by the bullet that killed her mother. Her life was saved by our wonderful veterinarian, Rebecca. She interacted with other chimps. She grew to be quite a strong young female. And then she got sick again when she was about 9 years old. And again, Rebecca saved her life. And again, she came to be a dominant female. And she was picked to be released into this beautiful island that's being given to us by the Congolese government, because in the rescue center where we take the chimps, it's so overcrowded. So now the chimps can be released onto this glorious, glorious big island on the beautiful river. And when you see what happens when her cage is opened and she's released, I beg of you, think how it was for me. Try and feel the atmosphere, the birds singing, the water running by, the leaves rustling in the wind, this magical moment that I'll never forget. So let's end with that. This is a really exciting moment for me. The Jane Goodall Institute's Chimpunga Chimpanzee Rehabilitation Center in the Republic of Congo has for years been caring for infants whose mothers were killed, mostly for the illegal bushmeat trade. Many of them are now fully grown. Recently, we acquired 3 large forested islands on the beautiful Kwilu River where we can release many of the chimpanzees from our overcrowded center. In here is Wunda, and she nearly died, but thanks to Rebecca, she came back from the dead, and here she is about to come out into this paradise. She's the 15th chimpanzee to get her freedom here, and we hope ultimately to have about 60 on the island. Today is the first time I've met Wunda. I talked to her on the boat, trying to reassure her. She must have wondered what was happening. None of us could predict exactly what she would do once the cage door opened. It was a very, very touching moment. One of the most amazing things that's ever happened to me. The warmth of her embrace is something I shall never forget. For Wunda and all the other chimpanzees we're working to bring here, Chinzula Island will provide a wonderful forest home where they will be cared for and safe. So, what am I meant to do now?
All right, let us all give Dr. Jane another great warm round of applause. I guess, Dr. Jane, thank you so much for bringing us on a journey through your life.
I'm coming back.
Yes, we'll be inviting Dr. Jane back again for a quick Q&A session. For now, let's invite her for a quick rest at the back. Wow, what a story. I think Dr. Jane has managed to bring us on a journey through her amazing life. Through her sharing, we found out the love of a mother. All right, we also found out the power of passion. And she has introduced to us the interconnectivity of everyone and everything around us. Every moment, every person, every action we take can become a reason for hope. This is very similar to the Tzu Chi spirit of the Bamboo Bank. In Taiwan, back in 1966, Dharma Master Cheng Yen encouraged 30 housewives to save 50 Taiwan cents every day from their grocery funds into a bamboo bank to help people in need. And that was how Tzu Chi Foundation started. This bamboo bank spirit has continued to today and has helped many people around the world. During the MCO period in Malaysia, Tzu Chi initiated the Neighborhood Relief Program to support those with financial constraints. The Bamboo Bank activity was organized as part of this program to help accumulate love from the society. Let us watch a video about this.
In response to the Neighborhood Relief Program, Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur Selangor chapter hosted a Bamboo Coin Bank activity. This helped accumulate love from society.
The sound of the coins rattling, accumulating love from all people. This is the second time the bamboo coin banks are being collected after the launch of the Neighborhood Relief Program.
When there are tensions being suffering, it means that there is a need to help. When there is the need to help, all the bodhisattvas will appear, which are each and every one of you right now.
When my daughter gets home from school, she'll put some money in the bamboo coin bank.
Sometimes I'll donate half of the money I earn from selling recyclables into the bamboo coin bank.
Even a small amount of money can help others. Teacher volunteer Alex Lim has also encouraged his staff to join in together.
I encourage my staffs to eat vegetarian meals every Friday, and after that, I'll ask them to donate the bamboo coin bank.
I'll continue in the future. I'll practice the objective of this activity in my daily life, using my small efforts to help others who are in need.
Everyone is able to do good deeds, because if we accumulate all our efforts bit by bit, it will become one big effort.
Transcend religion, race, language, country, everything. She only helped people who need help.
After receiving Tzu Chi's assistance, Celine Yao and her family now have a turn of hands and help those in need.
Master listen to me in the time of my difficulties. I really want to do something for the Tzu Chi Center, charity, whatever. Reserve me one of them.
Starting the cycle of kindness, it is hoped that the love from more people can be accumulated so that there will be more warmth in society.
As the Jing aphorism by Master Cheng Yan goes, giving is not the privilege of the rich. It is the privilege of the sincere. With this, we encourage everyone to join in the spirit of the Bamboo Bank and create more love within our society. And now, we will enter our question and answer section of tonight. Let us invite Dr. Jane again, together with the moderator, Ms. Kelly Koch. All right, let's give them a warm round of applause again.
Good evening, Jane. So we have collected quite a number of questions. We've gone through them, and we would love to answer every single one of them. But I'm afraid we do not have the time. So we've managed to pick quite a few, and Jane, of course, will do her best to answer. So we will start with a very light-hearted question. If you were to leave the earth tomorrow, what would you advise the young people? What would you say to them? What are your life lessons for them?
Well, my life lessons are never give up, that there's always hope, that hope isn't something that just comes to you. It's not like wishful thinking. You have to work. You have to choose something and devote your passion to it. See that you are making a difference, feel even better, gather other people in, and change the world.
So, and what is your dream for the world? And
my dream for the world is a world where war is a thing of the past. There'll always be conflict, there'll always be arguments within families, but actual physical horrible killing wars will be ended, where discrimination will be a thing of the past. That's really what I hope for the future, and that we will understand that protecting the natural world is really important, and that unlimited economic development is not possible in the way we're doing it today on a planet with finite natural resources.
So in your long career as a conservation activist, you must have run into a lot of people who do not agree with you. What happens? What do you do? How do you deal with them?
Well, when people have different ideas from me, which is fine. First of all, I listen to them. Maybe they've got hold of some ideas that I haven't thought about. Maybe I will change my mind when I've listened to them. But if, as is so often the case, these people have ideas which I feel are not good for the future of the planet, then I try to reach the heart, because I think it's useless trying to reach the brain. They're not going to listen. They're often older men. So I feel it's really important to reach the heart. And how do I reach the heart? With stories. Stories make a huge difference. And I'll tell you a quick one. And this was a man who was head of a big corporation, international corporation. And he told me that for the last years he's been really fighting to get his company environmentally sustainable in the country where he sources the goods along the supply chain. Difficult, but he tries. In the way they interact in the offices around the world and the way they treat their customers. For 3 reasons. 1, seeing the writing on the wall. We're using up natural resources in some places faster than nature can replenish them. 2, consumer pressure. People are beginning to ask questions about the products they buy. How was it made? Did it harm the environment? Was it cruel to animals? Is it cheap because of unfair wages? Then they're deciding not to buy. Does it cost a little bit more? Probably yes, almost certainly yes. But if it costs a bit more, you value it more and you waste less. And human waste is a huge problem. But he said, what tipped the balance, Jane, was that my little girl, she came home from school one day and she said, Daddy, they're telling me that what you're doing is harming the planet. That's not true, is it, Daddy? Because it's my planet.
So if you have a chance to talk about an animal that you fell in love with, if you have a chance to talk about an animal that you love, what would you pick? Who would you pick?
Oh, people think my favorite animal is a chimpanzee, and they're too like humans, so sorry. But my favorite animal is a dog. But of course, you know, dogs are so loyal, so faithful, they do so much for us. But then if I have to think of individuals, of course the dog who taught me as a child, Rusty, and then also the chimpanzee who really helped me move into chimp society, David Greybeard. Those would be the 2 individuals I would choose.
And what are the lessons that the chimps have taught you in the long course of your studies?
Well, the lessons that I have got from the chimpanzees haven't really taught me much, but have helped me to teach other people how arrogant humanity has been in feeling so superior to the rest of the natural world. And the chimpanzees, because they're so like us biologically, so like us behaviorally, they open the door for people to understand that we are not the supreme different beings we once thought.
Jane, if we clap at every one of your answers. Jane, you're 90, and you've lived a long and fruitful life. What makes you wake up in the morning and do everything that you do? What motivates you? What gets you down?
Well, what gets me down is sometimes the schedule that's been set, and I've agreed to do it without realizing the toll it will take on me. But basically, and I know you didn't mean that, so basically what motivates me is I've got grandchildren. I care about them. I care about the animals on the planet. I care about the forests and the wetlands and the other environments. We now know that not only are animals, insects, really intelligent, We know that trees can communicate, plants can communicate by means of their roots under the ground, or some can put pheromone scents up into the atmosphere. So if they're attacked by a plague of caterpillars, other trees of their species can put toxins, poisons into their leaves so that they can better withstand when the plague comes to them. So, you know, it's just so incredible what we're learning about the natural world all the time. It's a very exciting time now because science is finally opening its mind to, well, yes, it's okay to study animal intelligence. It's okay to study animal emotions.
But in these modern times, if a young person were to say, I want to be a conservationist like Jane, I want to spend my life in a forest and not make any money,
well,
what would you say to him or her?
Well, to start with, young people who want to help the planet, they usually start off by volunteering. But, you know, as people get older, they can't make a living, they can't look after family if they're just a volunteer. So there comes a point when you either have to go into an organization that will give you a job. It won't be much money, no. Conservation doesn't give you lots and lots of money unless you're head of one of the big splashy conservation groups. But you will get some money, you will get enough to live, and then maybe you can work your way up, proving your value to a higher salary. But it's not wrong to want a salary. Some people have said to me, I feel really guilty. I feel I should be devoting myself for free. But we can't just live for free. We have to find some way of getting money, unless we depend on our parents, and there's a limit to that.
Thank you. I can assure you that the Jane Goodall Institute is most certainly not a flashy organization. How do you think the JGIs around the world, we have 25 of them around the world, how do you think we are changing the world?
Well, 25 Jane Goodall Institutes, some of them, most of them start on a volunteer basis, and then gradually, by what they're doing, by the way that they're saving environments or animals or something, then they're able to make requests for a grant, they get some money, and then gradually they're able to pay money to somebody who can actually oversee that organization. Like, you know, in all of our major JGIs, there's an executive director, and they get paid a salary which enables them to do a good job. And that needs to happen all around. So 25 Jane Goodall Institutes, all independent, all signing a charter, declaring, promising that they will, you know, follow certain guidelines and that they won't run off on their own and do things that are against the charter of the main JGIs. And we have a global office. The global office is gathering up information and sharing information and advising the different 25 chapters. And we also now have a Jane Goodall Legacy Foundation, because I need to build up an endowment before I die so that I know that the work I've spent my life doing will carry on after I've gone.
And I think from many of the questions, many of the people in this room are feeling helpless and hopeless. And we do not feel the same hope that the children have. How do we as adults grow hope in ourselves? How do we find hope?
Well, I think, you know, if you listen to the talk I just gave, then no. So basically, people will find hope in different ways, and everybody's life experience is different. And some people will find hope much more easily because of the way they've been brought up. They've had things going for them, and they can sort of think hopefully. People who've grown up in really, really tough environments, people growing up in poverty, it's usually much harder for them to have hope. On the other hand, they've been toughened by the tough experiences they've had, and they can be even more determined that they will win through. It's like me. I'm obstinate. I'm not going to give up, even when certain elections provide results that are damaging or will be damaging to the environment. Am I going to give up and just say, okay, go ahead, destroy the country? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm already trying to work on a campaign to reach the hearts of the people who voted in what I think is a mistaken way.
So, Jane, you are 90 and you look to be in perfect health. What is your self-care routine? What is your self-care routine?
My self-care? I don't think about myself. You know that's true.
Yes, absolutely. She just turned down all kinds of lotion, body lotion, facial lotion, presented to her by TP. No self-care whatsoever. Very bad, Jane.
Well, people say look after yourself, and I say I don't need to because everybody looks after me. I mean, Kelly comes from Taiwan, and I've known Kelly for how many years?
Just 26 years.
26 years. And I've known TP and Peter for a long time, and you know, wherever I go, they all look after me. So I don't need to look after myself.
So Jane, you're 90. What are your plans?
Can you say that once more? I'm nearly 91. I do know I'm 90.
Jane, you're almost 91. What are your plans for the next 10 years?
Well, for as long as I live and have, have reasonable energy and use of my limbs and things, I'll go on doing what I do. If my body fails to do this crazy 300 days a year traveling, I'll gradually slow down. I will pray that my mind stays healthy so that I can do more writing, which I want to do. But then, somebody the other day in an audience of about 20,000 in Canada, I was asked a question I'd never been asked before. Is this the time for this?
Yes.
I was asked a question I'd never been asked before. I was asked, what is your next adventure? So I thought, if you'd asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said, I want to go to Papua New Guinea up in the mountains where all these new species are being discovered, wild, pristine wilderness. But I couldn't do that anymore, so it's no good wishing for that. So after a bit I said, dying. And there was dead silence, and then a few nervous giggles. And I said, well, if you die, then either there's nothing, in which case that's it, but maybe there's something, which I happen to believe. And if that's true, I cannot think of an adventure more exciting than discovering what that something is.
I think we should end on that hopeful note.
Can we ask the JGI team to just come up here?
Yes,
because
can my
none
team
of this,
come up here, please?
please.
Come on, TP, Janelle.
TP, Peter, volunteers.
And there are many more in the
Run
audience.
up from the back. You've all worked so hard. And, as I said at the beginning, I couldn't do this alone.
Come and look after Jane.
So come on. Come on, all of you. Don't keep people waiting. Just come. Board members, volunteers.
Where's Peter?
TP. Here they come, see? Here they come. Give them a big hand. Here's Peter. See how we work? What could we do without this wonderful workforce? Thank you all. I'm going to do. Okay. So, first of all, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for everybody. Secondly, at the end of our Roots and Shoots groups in many places, the young people stand together and they say, together we can. That means we can save the world. Together we will. That means we have the will. We will work to save the world. And I add, together we must. So I'm wondering if all of you, if you believe in this, could we join together with all this wonderful group up on the platform? And it will be, together we can, together we will, together we must save the world. So, 1, 2, 3. Together we can, together we will, together we must save the world. Let's try once more. Once more. It didn't sound enough from the audience, so 1, 2, 3. Together we can, together we will, together we must save the world. That was better, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jane Goodall and the Roots and Shoots team. Thank you so much for the work that you have done and also for allowing us to have such a meaningful night together. All right, I believe the team has already taken your photos. And now, let us invite Dr. Jane to have a group photo with the audience. All right, so Dr. Jane, can we invite you to come to the middle here? All right, right over here. Just here, yes, just here. Yeah, all right, so we'll be the audience will be with you in the photo, Dr. Jane. So you can face the back of the hall. Yes, our photographers here are ready. Okay, together, yes. So everyone, oh yes. Oh, there's a little present for Dr. Jane here.
Thank you.
Would you like to see anything? All right. Okay, so let's take a group photo together. This is a reason for hope. All right, let's all call out the chant that we did just now. All right, so, okay, for our audience, can we all raise up your hands? It can be one hand, it can be both hands, and show us the love, the mini love. All right, the mini love. If you don't know how to, look for the person next to you. Or you know, a big love with the person next to you, that's fine too. All right, okay, so 1, 2, 3, big smiles. Big smiles. All right. Chimpanzee, guys. Chimpanzee. Awesome. And Dr. Jane, maybe one more on your own. All right. Okay, so one more, everyone. Let's go with the love sign again. And let's go together. 1, 2. Chimpanzee. Awesome. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Jane. And can we all, once again, give a final round of applause to thank Dr. Jane. Let's give a wave. Goodbye, Dr. Jane. Thank you for bringing hope to us all here in Malaysia. Thank you, Dr. Jane. Woo. Thank you so much, everybody. We invite you to take a seat again, all right? As the Jing aphorism goes, in the tug of war between good and evil, the side that garners more support will eventually win. There is strength in numbers. Therefore, we invite everybody here today to join great platforms like Roots and Shoots and Tzu Chi Foundation to join the side of hope, the side of good. And everyone today, you may also scan this QR code we are showing you here today in order to support the good work by Roots and Shoots Malaysia. Roots and Shoots Malaysia was established in January 2015. Today, they have over 10 active groups in various schools. Do support them to grow hope within the youths of today, to empower the youths and making a difference in our society. Roots and Shoots also have some books for sale outside in the hall, along with their volunteers who we have seen on stage just now. Do have a chat with them while you're on your way out. Other than that, we also invite everyone here to follow our Tzu Chi social media accounts to stay updated with our events. There are many ways of which you can volunteer with Tzu Chi Foundation, whether as volunteers in the front lines, as teachers, as usherers, as translators, as medical support personnel, video editors, photographers. There's something for everyone. We hope to see all of you again as volunteers in our future events. I would like to part with everyone by a phrase by Mahatma Gandhi. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And once again, we thank everybody for spending your evening today with us. And we invite everybody to please remain seated while our guests of honor and VIPs will exit the hall under the escort of our volunteers. And in the meantime, because we have quite a large crowd here today, to ensure the safety and comfort of everyone, we will be exiting the hall row by row. So everyone in the room, please follow the guidance of our volunteers. And in the meantime, you can continue to rest and relax in your seats, all right? And we wish everybody here a safe journey home. Good night.
Let's leave for our children a blue sky shining bright. Let's leave for our children a meadow lush with light. May love's great compassion comfort all the weary souls. May love's great compassion make the world a brighter place. May this great compassion make us dream a pure great love, flowing round the planet, changing hearts forevermore. Let's leave for our children a planet clean and pure. Let's leave for our children a river crystal clear. Let's leave for our children a blue sky shining bright. Let's leave for our children a meadow lush with light. May love's great compassion comfort all